Welcome back to the Fit Life Orange County podcast, and I am so excited. I am your host, Jake Stewart, and I am in the studio today with Mr. Garry Lindquist. So he has the record for most sessions at boot camp at over 2,500 sessions, and he is going to tell you all his story about fitness and how it has impacted his life over his 71 awesome years of life that he's had. Without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Here is Bryce Henson and Jake Stewart, your host of the Fit Life Orange County.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Today, I am just pumped up. I'm excited for this one. I've been waiting for this one for such a long time. I'm in the studio with Mr. Garry Lindquist. Garry, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jake. It's the most exciting thing that's ever happened.
Well, believe it or not, I'm really excited to have this talk with you today. I know there's going to be a little bit of goofiness. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know there's a lot of boot campers at home that have been anxiously waiting for this episode to drop. We just want to hear a little bit more and get an insight into Garry's life. So Mr. 2,500 sessions, that's how many sessions Garry has completed here at boot camp. He is holding the record for most sessions here in Mission Viejo, probably most sessions across the board at all Fit Bodies. So don't let him discount it. He works super duper hard. But let's get into Garry's head a little bit. So Garry, can you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, kind of what you do, and maybe a little bit about like your family life. Let's hear it.
Okay. Obviously, I'm Garry Lindquist. I'm a retired school teacher. I still substitute. When I taught elementary school, first and second grade. I taught science, and I taught 15 years of elementary school PE in Saudi Arabia. Lived in Saudi Arabia for 16 years, and best teaching experience I could possibly have. I'm married, have two daughters, 34 and 32. They were both born in Saudi Arabia. They still, in some ways, consider it home. And you want me to talk about fitness journey?
Well, we'll get there in just a second.
Okay.
So yeah, totally. Don't worry. We definitely will uncover everything.
Okay,
But
that's about it.
You have a great life story, Garry. And then if I wanted to unpack all of it, we would probably need seven or 8 hours to get through it all. But yeah, something I do want to talk about is kind of your fitness journey. And I'm curious, as somebody who did live in a foreign country for 16 years, kind of growing up, I know about your childhood and things like that. What does fitness look like? Like, what does health kind of look like? Have you always been in good shape or relatively good shape? And what were some of the things that you did to keep yourself where you were at?
Okay, so I have always been in pretty good shape, active, playing all kinds of sports as a kid, not organized, but in the neighborhood. In high school, I played football, basketball, and baseball, 3 years of each. And then after high school, started playing volleyball, beach volleyball for the most part. Played beach volleyball pretty much consistently until I was about 65 years old. And other than that, I started doing triathlons back in the 1980s. So I was doing that. That's probably the best fitness thing level I've ever been. But pretty much active my whole life. When I moved to Saudi Arabia, most of the time I taught PE, and elementary school, you're active all the time. So I ran with kids. I played all the games with kids. So I've always been in pretty good shape. When we came back, I basically ran and rode bikes, and then I knew I needed to do some weight kind of stuff. And then in the end, Fit Body Boot Camp, I basically use as a place to do the things I hate to do.
Totally. Well, we'll get into your Fit Body story in just a second.
Okay.
So a couple of things that I kind of want to uncover. So actually, oddly enough, I had an interview not so long ago with Lauren, who you know from the 615 session. Something I found out about her is she grew up in Alaska, where it was negative 30 degrees, sometimes, and it was hard to go out and stay fit.
Right.
Now I'm curious, in Saudi Arabia, my guess is it was pretty hot, some of the times.
That's true.
What were some of the things that you did to combat that? Would you still go outside even in the more harsh climate?
Okay, so I used to go run at lunch. My rule was, if it was less than 100 degrees, I could go run for a 45-minute run at lunch. And the weather there didn't bother me. Most of the time it was real dry. Go for runs in the morning, bike rides in the morning. But then we had all the facilities that you'd have anywhere in America. You had weight rooms where you could go work out with all the aerobic machines and weights. We had a swimming pool at school, so I could swim laps at school. So finding places, and I've worked in a gymnasium, the gym at school, so I could work out at lunch there too. So it was no problem finding a place that was cool enough to work out.
That's awesome. Well, that's really good that you say that. A lot of times people use that as an excuse. Maybe not so much here in Orange County, given it's pretty much a constant 75 to 85 degrees year
Yeah.
round. But yeah, so that's something people always use as an excuse. Say, oh, it's too hot, it's too cold, it's too cloudy, it's too this, it's too that.
Yeah.
But it's good to know that, it can still get done because it really is important that we move our bodies. And it sounds like you've always had just an active lifestyle, like between either just work, being a PE teacher, obviously PE teachers aren't just sitting around wheeling around on a chair. Something that I would like for you to share is kind of like the amount of steps that you get in per day, because I know that's one of your big things. And I'm just curious, like, what does that look like? And also, too, something I haven't mentioned yet, at 71 years young, Garry gets more steps in than almost anybody that I know. So I'm very curious to hear kind of what that looks like and kind of how you get those steps in, even on the days where you're teaching.
Okay, so my basic goal is 20,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
And when I'm teaching, I try not to sit down. I walk around the classroom as much as possible. Sometimes, especially now that I'm a substitute, if kids are just doing work, I'll walk around the perimeter of the room. I'll do, on days I'm not substituting, I'll do stupid things like walk from my house to Laguna Beach. Just
So
because,
that's not a close walk.
just
For those of you
because
that don't know, how many miles would you say that is?
it's basically 45,000 steps
One way or both?
one way.
Yeah,
I do
one
not
way.
walk back.
Okay.
The 89 bus from Laguna Beach
Takes you back home.
takes me back almost to my house, yes.
That's incredible, Garry. And that's something that's really important, something just as simple. So setting the goal of 20,000 steps, yes, that's a lot of steps, but that's not like you're setting the goal to like go work out for 3 hours a day or go, like
Oh, no.
lift a certain X amount of weights, which is I feel like a lot of times when people think of fitness, those are kind of the goals that they think of. They don't think of the simple stuff like just getting steps in. Obviously, in addition to getting your steps in, you come to boot camp, you work out. I know you hit the treadmill. I know you go on walks. I know you do all sorts of stuff. What does just like a typical day look like for you when you're teaching or maybe when you're not teaching? Like what's just kind of a typical day look like?
Okay, when I'm subbing, I'll come here at 6:15, do the workout. Depending on what time school starts that day, I might leave directly to go to school. Sometimes I'll spend some time in here running
Oh, yeah.
to get some exercise. Then I go work. When, like I said, when I'm in the classroom, I'll walk around. Um, if I have a prep period, I'll walk during that. I'll walk during lunch and eat at the same time. Get off work, depending on what time it is, come back for a 4:30 workout here, and go home, eat dinner, and depending on how many steps I have, I might walk around the room while I watch TV in the evening.
That doesn't shock me. I can imagine
No.
you're always at home kind of getting those steps in.
Coach Bryce here. Now, you might know me as the co-host of this podcast and the owner of Mission Viejo Fit Body. But what many people don't know is that began my fitness journey as a fitness transformation. Now, you see, circuit training and nutrition coaching absolutely changed my life after being overweight with a diet of mainly fast food in my late teens. Now, upon my fitness transformation in early 2007, yes, I gained a much better physique as I was overweight and I lacked lean muscle. But way more than burning fat and building lean muscle, I increased my self-confidence, my energy, and my vibrancy to live life on life's terms. Now, it's for these reasons that many people join our boot camp. Now, in fact, with our Ultimate Transformation Program, we guarantee, yes, guarantee, that you'll lose at least 10 pounds within 6 weeks, or your program is free until you do. Now, go ahead and visit our website at missionviejofitbody.com. Now, thanks, and back to the show.
I do want to unpack some things just a little bit further because I know we love to joke around, and I know I know what's the answer to this next question is, and I know we joke around, but it actually is true. I know what your answer is going to be.
Okay.
So why do you feel that it's important to stay healthy and fit into your 70s? So what are some of the things that you're thinking like, hey, this is why I got to get the 20,000 steps in. This is why I got to go to boot camp once, twice, sometimes even 3 times a day. Garry's absolutely incredible. So kind of talk us through your why.
Okay, so everybody eventually has health problems. Could be heart related, lung related, joint related, any kind of health concern. And I figure the better shape I'm in, the easier rehab will be. I mean, I said at first I said it jokingly, but it's to me, um, because I've known people who've had joint replacements, all kinds of stuff, and they go to rehab, and the people that I know that have been active, it goes better than the people that have been inactive. So
Yeah.
that's basically it. It's I guess also makes getting up out of a chair easier,
Yeah,
but
totally.
all those things, yeah.
No, yeah, and for sure, and that really is important. And I know, like we said it jokingly, like one of your examples was like, it's going to make my heart attack recovery better and stuff." But like, even though we said that in a joking manner, it really is true. So yeah, even if it's something not so major, something as simple as twisting your ankle or something like that, if you're not in good shape, like if you're totally out of shape and you're not moving your body a lot, that's just going to put you even further behind,
Yep.
a kind of thing. And I've seen it with my family members before. I've seen it with other people around that, like, if they're not taking care of themselves now, when they have health problems, especially as we age, those health problems will only get worse and worse and worse. Something as simple as like, well, not simple necessarily, but something as recent as like COVID. It was a bad sickness, but the people that were getting the worst like symptoms from it were the people that weren't taking care of themselves ahead of time. So my guess is that if you had gotten COVID, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, you probably would have been in a little bit better of a spot because you're eating pretty good. I would assume your nutrition's
Yeah.
pretty good, and you're getting all your exercise in. That's not exactly the demographic of people that were having those adverse
Yeah.
effects.
I mean, it's true because just like anything, when you hear about the people that were most likely to have major problems from COVID, it was people who were, you know, already old or infirm or had existing conditions. And I figured, well, I don't have any, but um, if I can put off having, you know, health problems that I have some control over,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm going to be better off when it comes to just about anything.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really, really important. Something that like everybody can take advantage of, whether you're 20 years old, 40 years old, or 80 years old. Anybody making those changes is only going to help them as long as they're just, doing what they can too. So, like I said, something as simple as just going for walks. That could be the thing that changes your life, just going for those
Yeah.
walks. So, I think that's really important and really awesome that you do that. Now, I'm curious, as a dad and grandpa as well, what are some of the things that you taught your kids in order to keep them healthy? I know them. I've met your daughter before. She's very healthy, very with it, and I know that your grandson also, obviously still a baby, but I know he'll
Yeah.
be healthy as well. What are some of the things that you instilled in your kids to kind of keep them living like a healthy and kind of fit lifestyle?
Well, part of it was what I was interested in. And so when they were kids, of course, I was a PE teacher. And so pretty much we'd go to the pool every single day. They swam because, it was 100 over 100 degrees. So it's a good place to go. Then we'd go to the gym. They'd go to my work and we'd just do activities there all the time. Um, they had their birthday parties there. I mean, having access to equipment and the space, that was just what we did when we were, the weekend or after school.
Hmm.
Um, go on bike rides. They had, I'll call them fun runs there. We'd go to the fun runs when they were kids. Um, but just, and a lot, like I said, a lot of it's just because of me. I was active, and so they'd come along. They got signed up for all the youth sports that you would have here. Um, so they just grew up active. One of them got into dance, and um, anything to keep active.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's good. And I always say it's very nice when you can have a parent that teaches the kids like the value of being active, but also not just talking the talk, but also walking your talk. So doing it as well. So they probably also saw you, being active. They saw you probably going out for those walks or training for the triathlon, like you said you were doing, and they could see it. So that's really like almost like monkey see, monkey do. If
Oh
you're
yeah.
setting that good example, they're going to follow suit. But if you're setting a poor example, like if you're the kind of teacher that did just sit the whole classroom long, and then ate poorly, and then when they got home they sat all day, and it's sedentary, that's probably what they're going to do too.
Yep.
So that's really, really awesome. So thank you so much, Garry, for sharing. Now to kind of just segue into this, I'm curious. I know we've joked about it and we've talked about it at length, but what has your Fit Body experience been like, and why do you come to Fit Body Bootcamp? So I'm very curious to hear the real reason of kind of why you come to Fit Body. We live in Southern California. There's a lot of other gyms and things you could be doing, but for some reason you've chosen to come here 2,500 times. So kind of what are some of the reasons why you choose to come here?
Okay. So like I said in the beginning, I needed to go to a place where during a workout I would do stuff that I don't like to do. Like weight work, I always hated. Um, all that kind of stuff. Strength was not something that I really wanted to work on. So I come here, they have it, and it's the opportunity to do it. I still wonder why I pay as much as I do every month to get somebody to have me do things I could do at home. But I still do it anyway. The other thing is, well, I want to get my money's worth. I'm paying this much every month, and if I come 50 times in a month, my per workout cost is low. If I came 3 times a week, per workout cost is high. So you keep it low. It's good for you. That's a positive. And well, I'm kind of a social person,
Really?
and the social part of it is a big part of it too. And I think for a lot of people that come here, the workout's important, but a lot of people, that whole social part of it, like groups of ladies, well, mostly ladies, that work together every single day
Mm-hmm.
and some of them become social outside of boot camp. But so, I mean, obviously a lot of it's the social part of it. And I know groups at different
Times of the day,
times of
considering
the
you're here all
day,
day.
and so it's fun, and you learn about people, and so that's a big part of it too.
Well, that's awesome, Garry. Well, it makes me happy to hear that you're happy and you're getting your money's worth, which is always good. And setting records, getting those session counts up, staying fit, and just and really gaining the strength, even though that's not something you like. So a lot of times, we are forced to do things we don't like, and
Yeah.
usually we don't like it because it's hard, or we don't like it for other reasons. But it's still something you need to do. So building lean muscle, especially as we age, is really important. So I'm glad that you're kind of getting that in.
Well, me, I don't always participate very well. There will be, well, a lot of people comment about, like, weren't you in that other group? What are you doing here?
Garry
Like,
goes a little bit against the grain during the
I
workout.
can
So
I do my own rotations, but no, it's just part of that's the fun of it. Going, like, I'll rotate with the wrong group just to
just for the fun.
get some time with other people, and so. But and some people joke, like, "Did you do any of the workout today?"
Most of the time, yeah, for
Most
sure.
of the time, I do some.
No, but no, that's awesome. And I know there's all the boot campers love you, all the coaches, we all love you too. And it's just been awesome having you as a client for the last, like, what is it, 6, 7 years? It's been quite some time at this point.
According to you, June of 2018.
Since June of 2018.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's quite some time. So it's been an awesome ride, Garry. And thank you so much for sitting down today. I got one more question for you before we head out.
Okay.
And this one's the big one.
Finally. Okay.
If you had a piece of advice for someone sitting at home that maybe they're in their 70s and they might not think like, hey, maybe fitness isn't for me, I'm too old for fitness, or hey, maybe like I can't do it, like I just personally, I've seen people go out and I've seen people make a change, but I can't. What would be your advice to that person?
So, in my opinion, people, when it comes to doing pretty much anything that's not natural or not something you've done before, it's trying to do too much right at the beginning. Like, you don't go from here to here. It's a journey from to go along. So you don't start off, it's just like new clients here. Do everything at whatever percentage, modify everything. Don't try to change all at once. Make small changes along the way, get up. If you take the elevator, like you're at a building and the elevator's one, and you need to go up one story, take the stairs every once in a while. Just anything, start small, and then as time goes on, add to it, and then, you should see some progress.
Step ladder approach. I love it. Well, Garry, thank you so much for sitting down with us today. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man.
Yes, sure.
But if you guys got any value from this episode, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share it with a buddy. And we will see you in the next episode.